Hello everybody. For the ones who are new to my channel, I am Dr. Nash Jocic, bodybuilding champion with experience over 40 years in bodybuilding world. I competed 46 times all around the world and I won 17 titles. During that time, I have managed to advise and personally train over 3,000 clients and also to publish 8 books which you have on my website, nashfittraining.com. If you click the link below, you will get right to the page shop where all my ebooks are waiting for you. So if you're interested in expanding your knowledge and clearly widening your horizon in order to learn more and get better, build bigger muscles and burn more body fat, achieve the best body you can possibly have, you are more than welcome. Visit my website and you will see all the services that I provide there. Now, today I want to talk to you about something very important, and actually I'm going to talk to you about 5 main things that I would do differently if I was 20 years old again. So make sure you watch this video until the end, because every single one of those 5 things is very important for you to understand, and hopefully you don't make the same mistake as I did. But unfortunately, I can't go back, so I can tell you my experience, and hopefully you can learn from my experience without making the same mistakes, which is now not necessary. Nobody was there to tell me that, and here we are. So, as I mentioned in previous videos, my beginnings were very harsh, mainly because there was not a lot of information in those days. There were not books, internet wasn't there, YouTube, access to information was extremely difficult. And the best I could have done is just to listen to whoever was around, and they didn't know much. So then later on I started traveling around the world, but that didn't really help much because I learned how some famous bodybuilders were training, and that was working for them, but not necessarily for me. So it was a rough ride, I have to say that. But the first thing that I would do differently is that I would train my legs with more regularity, more passion, and more understanding. So when I started training, I didn't really train my legs at all. It was all about upper body, because upper body was everything. Nobody's gonna say, "Oh, look at this guy, looks amazing," because he's got big legs, right? But if they see you having big arms and big shoulders and big chest and stuff like that, then you are really somebody that people will turn their heads on the street, looking at you and going, "Oh, did you see that guy? Look how big he is. Look his arms." And this was actually how most of us were in those days. So I didn't train legs for maybe a year and a half, and in the meantime, I trained my upper body. I was very passionate about it. I trained it with high intensity, lifting heavy weights and all that. I did everything I could have possibly done, as much as I knew, but I didn't train legs. Then I realized actually that started looking at some magazines, and I've seen that people look amazing just because they're proportionate. But when I looked in the mirror, I was chunky in my upper body, not necessarily cut or in good shape, but just big. But maybe my legs were skinny. So I thought, oh my God, this has to change. And then I started training my legs. But it took me another 2 years of vigorous training to actually catch up with my upper body. So I probably wasted good 4 years in the beginning simply because I didn't train legs. And that was a huge mistake. So now, when I advise people who are first time in the gym, beginners or intermediates, legs come first because they're the biggest muscle. Then back, then chest, then the rest. Not only legs are the biggest muscle, but also they're more important for your overall metabolic adaptation, for overall muscle growth than any other muscle group. So when the legs start growing, your body is in the growing mode. Basically, your body is geared up to grow. You are actually doing high intensity work, and everything else is going to be much easier to do because your stress level, the stress threshold is quite high. You have moved that up by training your legs. So this is the first thing that I would do differently. I would train legs as passionately and as regularly as every other muscle group. Now, the second thing that I would do differently was that I would not be obsessed with extremely heavy weights, because in the beginning it was all about how much can you bench. I was also deluded with Mike Mentzer's heavy duty training system, and because the guy, the friend of mine who knew more than me, more experience, he was completely obsessed with Mike Mentzer's training system. What I didn't see, or I didn't want to see, is that my friend, although very strong, he was actually fat, and he was always fat. So that system worked for him. Actually, that system allowed him to be in the shape he was, but he was just enjoying being strong, reasonably big, but strong. So how much can you bench? That was the main objective in everybody's mind. How much can you bench? So I was really benching, going down to, I would do every week, I would do my max, 1 rep max, right? That type of training obviously resulted in lots of injuries, especially shoulder injury, elbow injuries. And, but I just kept training like that, like crazy. I was very strong. I was big, but I was also fat, and I didn't have any shape. And, when I started doing legs, the same principle applied. I was doing, for example, squats and going down to 2 or 3 reps, just trying to lift as much as possible. And these heavy weights literally were my obsession. So I didn't pay attention to anything else. It was just lifting heavy weights. And because of those super heavy weights, the form wasn't very good. So I would, if I can go back, the second thing that I would change would be to go a bit lighter and pay attention more to form, perform my main exercises in the best possible way to hit the targeted muscle. For example, when I was doing squats, I would lean forward too much just in order to lift more. When I was doing bench press, I would bounce the weight from my chest just in order to lift more. I would lift my hips up just to lift more. So I don't know why I was doing that now. Now, from this perspective, from this lens, that is all ridiculous, and this was absolute nonsense. But this is how it was, and I'm just telling you that I would do this differently, and I hope that you are not doing the same mistakes. The third thing that I would do differently would be more reps. So for legs, for example, I was mainly relying on squats because the leg press came later. I would do back squats, front squats, and I would start from around 10 reps. That would be probably the highest with lighter weights, and then I would put more weight and go 8, and then go 6, and then go 4, and go 2, and then go for a max. So doing that made me stronger. I could have lifted lots of weights, but the form wasn't good enough. And most important thing was that my legs were not growing. I was getting stronger in performing my squats, obviously in wrong form. I was lifting more weight, but my legs didn't grow. And they didn't grow because I didn't do enough reps. So legs respond much better to higher reps. If I can go back now, apart from just doing better form, I wouldn't go less than 10 reps for legs, for squats, for example, or leg press, and I would go up to 20. So I would vary my workouts. Sometimes I would just stay on around 20. Sometimes I would go down to 10. If I drop down to 7, 8, that would be the last set. But in general, I would do between 10 and 20 reps. I wouldn't go lower than 10, and I wouldn't go higher than 20. So this is much bigger difference. So obviously, if I can go back, I would change that. And I know that my legs would respond, because they did respond when I started doing that in the later stages. As you can see on these images, My legs became my best body part, but then I was doing leg press with 20 to 30 reps. My squats were never less than 10. They were always between 10 and 15, for example, even 20. Higher number of reps would really explode my legs. So now I know that, and then I didn't, that not just training in a way to grow your muscle fibers, myofibrillar growth, to provoke myofibrillar growth, but high number of reps also stimulates sarcoplasmic growth, which is extremely important. So you want to benefit from both types of growth. I mean, we didn't know that then. Now we know that. I mean, science is much more involved in bodybuilding and muscular development now, so things are clearer now. But in those days, we didn't know. Now, number 4 thing that I would do differently would be the variation of exercises. For example, although I always cherish squats very much, and I still believe they're the best exercise for legs. I build my legs, as you can see, mainly from squats. So squats and leg press would always be the bread and butter for legs. You can do different exercises. Sometimes you can swap squats for hack squats, leg extensions. This exercise that is not really going to make your legs double. You can do it, but it's not necessarily that important. But when it comes to the upper body, I would do different variation of exercises. For example, I relied mainly on bench press. So bench press obviously helped me to develop the lower and middle part of my chest, sternal part of major pectoralis, but not necessarily clavicular part, which is obviously upper chest. And that contributes to 20% of your overall major pectoralis muscle. So I would do more of especially dumbbell incline presses for my upper chest, for a clavicular portion of major pectoralis. And I would also spend more time doing dumbbell flies and cable crossovers, because chest require those different movements because of different angles. So I basically based my workout mainly on bench press and dips because I didn't even have more. But even if I had, I wouldn't do anything else. So for example, for chest, I would do that. For arms, I would also include different exercises. For example, more extensions behind the neck, either standing or French press, or dumbbell extension behind the neck, which I didn't do. I relied mainly on close grip bench press and push down. So I didn't know much. And apart from that, I didn't have all this necessary equipment that we have now. But now, again, because you're talking about these 5 things that I would do differently, clearly I would incorporate different exercises, especially for my upper body muscles. Now, number 5 thing that I would do differently is related to the diet. So when I started training, I was obviously trying to get as big as possible, meaning I wanted to bulk up. You know, there is the video coming that I'm talking about bulking up and all this, hype and deception of being big in the off season and, thinking that that's a good thing to do. But actually, you're just going to end up being fat and full of water retention, as I was. So in order just to be bigger and heavier, I was eating a lot, and I was eating a lot of carbs. I ate a lot of protein. I had protein in every meal. This is not a question. I had lots of fat as well. And but carbs were probably around 500 grams a day. I was really stuffing myself. I would have porridge in the morning. I would have rice with every other meal in the day, or potatoes or pasta. And I ended up starting with 84 kgs. I ended up almost 220 within 7-8 months. So imagine, this is 35 kgs up. So that couldn't have been muscle. There is no way. I was also natural for years. I didn't know what vitamins are, not to mention anything else. But to make that huge difference in weight, there is no way that will be muscle. So I gained a lot of fat and water retention as well. So this is all down to carbs. So if I can go back now, I would eat the protein as I did, probably around 300 to 400 grams a day. And I would keep carbs down maybe to 100, 150 grams, maybe on leg day. But maybe in the days off, when I'm not training, I would go maybe down to 50 grams of carbs a day. I would keep my fat, healthy fats, anywhere from, let's say, 60, 70 to maybe 100 grams a day max. And that would be my diet if I can go back. So that would save me a lot of efforts, a lot of struggling, a lot of suffering that I remember I experienced when I tried to get back down to the weight that will allow me to step on the stage. So from 120 kgs, I had to cut down to 82. So 38 kgs. I almost died because I was cutting down. I was losing everything. I was losing fat, I was losing muscle, water, everything. But I had to keep cutting because I had to end up in the shape that will allow me to step on the stage. I had to have six-pack. I had to have split legs. And in order to do that, I was down to 82. And then, as you can see on the picture now, on this one, this is my, I think, second and third show, on which I was 85 or 86 kgs. I was still light heavy and already looking decent, but I was still 32, 34 kgs lighter than I was before I started doing preparation for the show. So imagine how much stress and suffering one has to experience in order to cut down just to get in decent shape. So I don't want you to do that, and that wouldn't happen to me if I knew what I know now. And if I can go back, this fifth thing that I would do differently would be to cut my carbohydrates down. So not allowing myself to go to that ridiculous weight of 120 kgs, and then it's so much struggle to try to get back in some decent shape. So guys, just to recap, these 5 things that I would do differently would, first of all, I would train legs, because I didn't in the beginning. I would train them with the same regularity and the same passion as every other muscle group. Number 2, I would use better form with lighter weights, because I used weights too heavy and my form wasn't very good. I was getting injured often and I didn't grow. Number 3, I would increase the number of reps, especially for legs. So I wouldn't do anything around 2, 3, 4, 5 reps. I would go from 10 to 20. Number 4, I would do different variation of different exercises, especially for upper body muscles, because I only relied on a few basic exercises for chest, back, shoulders, and arms. And number 5, I would definitely eat less carbs. So I would try to stay in some good shape in the off season that would allow me to get in shape for competition much easier and end up in much better shape, actually. So I hope that you got a message from this video, and that you would not do the same mistakes as I did. And this was the goal of this video. And also I will remind you again that if you want to learn more about nutrition, about muscle growth, fat loss, beginners workouts, if you want to learn about lifestyle change, please visit my website, nashfittraining.com, page shop. You have the link in the comments, so you can just click on the link and go straight to the page. And there are 8 ebooks there written for you, and they will greatly help you to achieve fantastic results in the record time. My ebooks are full of detailed explanations of every exercise, proper form, number of reps, number of sets, most effective training systems, nutrition, diets for competition, fat loss, not weight loss, the whole strategy, how to lose fat, etc., etc. So, I have really put all I had, all my experience and knowledge in those ebooks, and they are helping so many people. They've been helping them since 2010, when the first one came out. So I hope that you will find something to help you too. And I will see you in the next video. And until then, I wish you all the best and take care of yourselves.